Welcome to MLS Roundup from We Are Soccer. I'm Craig Hearn, and today, as normal, I'm joined by Soccer Syndicate Scout Brooks Lambier. Brooks, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, Craig. Good, almost the end of the week, and it's going to be the weekend here soon. So I'm excited for the weekend, right?
And the weekend brings MLS playoffs that kick off, man, and it's exciting. This is what we've watched all season for, right? We've waited to get to this point. The teams jump in. We've got a bracket. I know you and I have talked in the last week here about several teams that are going strong, that came into the playoffs on a high, some of them that limped in as well. We finally got the brackets. Why don't we take a look at them and break them down really quick? All right, I'll put that bracket up. There's some nice matchups going on here. I'm excited. What game in that first round, whether it be in the East or in the West, what game sticks out to you that you're really looking forward to watching?
Yeah, this was tough. I mean, when because we're doing the bracket challenge, so just let our viewers know we are doing a bracket challenge, and we've been sharing that information via our different social media accounts on We Are Soccer and as well as our own personal. But going through this, it was tough to pick because I was like, damn, there's a lot of really good matches that could go different ways. To be honest with you, like these are. I mean, you could have an upset with Vancouver beating SKC over there in the Western Conference. You could have maybe our New York Red Bull sneaking one over Philly. Maybe Nashville finds their stride and they beat our Orlando finds their stride and they beat Nashville. So I mean, if we're gonna look at an intriguing matchup in the first round, it's so tough because RSL going to Seattle and upset them, and that Portland Minnesota game. I mean, it depends how Minnesota decides if they want to come in and play and not. I think the one intriguing match, because it's very close to me and the way they finished out the season, is that Eastern Conference 2-7 matchup, Philly and New York Red Bull. To me, you have a Philly team that, I mean, they finished the regular season off well, but New York Red Bull just went on that streak of winning games and needing to get points. And yes, you have like Caden Clark that went with the U20s for some of their stuff during this international break. And obviously each team probably has a few guys that probably had to do some World Cup qualifying. They lost some players to World Cup qualifying, but what's interesting with that Red Bull team is, it's kind of like the college soccer tournament that's going on right now. A team catches fire at the end of the season. They go in with momentum and they go in with confidence. And that's how lower seeds end up beating higher seeds. So, in Philly has a goalkeeper like Andre Blake who can win you games, and they have a solid back line with Glesnes and Wagner and Elliott. In a solid midfield, Martinez and they get Shabilko up top and Leon Flock in the midfield, and they have guys that are of different ages and the academy players that can step in and win them games, and they've been doing that all year. But look for a team like the Red Bull that play a different type of style where they kind of love to press high and they like to get the ball in the final third and then play. It's a very difficult team to play against, and that style can very much beat a team like Philly. But then if you look on the other side, Philly doesn't really hold possession a lot. They really want to get into the final third and they want to kind of play more direct. So, to me, that's an interesting matchup. It may not be the prettiest game in the world, in terms of soccer, but I think that's a very intriguing matchup in the first round.
Yeah, actually, that was one I'd listed as well. That really was me. The other one that I'm really looking forward to watching is actually also on the Eastern side, Nashville-Orlando. I think that game, the way Nashville's been playing this year and the way Orlando came on in the last couple of weeks, I think that game is going to be a heck of a run and gun game. I want to see if Daryl DK can put the ball in the back of the net. I'm a huge fan of his. And I really like the way Nashville's been playing. So that game for me, that Nashville-Orlando game is the game I really am looking forward to. But that Philly-Red Bull game, that was one as well I'm looking forward to. So let me ask you this. If I had to press you on that Philly Red Bull, who wins? Who takes it? Does Philly walk away with it, or is there going to be an upset? Does Red Bull take that?
I think Philly has too much depth, and I think just because they rotate so many players and they've played a lot of those academy kids that have experience, plus some other younger guys they've signed and other veterans they can bring off the bench. I think Philly takes that one, to be honest with you. And darn it, it's going to be a 0-0 draw for Nashville Orlando, and it's going to be PKs because that's Nashville.
Yeah.
If they don't give up goals, and they tie all the time. So,
just so everybody's aware, 18 draws this past MLS season, setting a record there. Unbelievable. So, all right, we obviously know that New England finished first in the East. Colorado finished first in the West. It looks like New England's going to be taking on the winner of New York's NYCFC or Atlanta. Who do you think escapes through that matchup to face New England?
So I picked Atlanta. I think that's a team that's riding a little bit of a hot hand at the end of the season, where NYCFC really stumbled and they had to really pick it back up to advance and make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Atlanta that's a team that can upset. A 5 can beat a 4 seed, but again, you're playing in Yankee Stadium. It's different. It's not Mercedes-Benz Stadium where it's actual full field, and so there's advantages and disadvantages. I'm sure there's a lineup that Pineda probably is going to bring out. Being a smaller pitch, you may want more technical players that are more comfortable in tight spaces. But when you have Joseph Martinez and Miles Robinson in the back, and if Brad Guzan can be Brad Guzan and can come up with big saves, they can definitely upset NYCFC.
Yeah, I agree with you, but that's where you and I differ. I've got New York getting through there. I've got them going into the next round and taking on New England. I then have New England heading on into the conference finals.
Yes.
So you tell me, on the Eastern side, buddy, who do you got in the conference finals? Is it New England? And if so, who are they taking on?
So I then have in that bottom bracket, I have Philly playing Nashville in the 2-3. And then I have Nashville winning to play New England in the 1-3 matchup. So that's who I have.
All right. I've got Philly winning. I've got Philly beating New York Red Bulls and also facing Nashville. But I have Philadelphia scooting through there barely to get to the conference finals versus New England. And I have from the Eastern Conference Finals there, I actually have an upset. I've got Philadelphia beating New England, getting through to the MLS Cup final.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have New England.
You have New England going into the final. All right. That makes sense. All right. It's going to be a good one. That's going to be a really good game no matter who gets through. All right. On the Western Conference, who are we looking at, man? We've got Portland, Minnesota, SKC Vancouver, Seattle RSL. Who you got winning those games and getting on to the next round?
Yeah, so these were tough ones for me to pick, to be honest with you. They were much more difficult, in my opinion, than the Eastern Conference, those first round matchups.
Mm-hmm.
I kept going back and forth. Well, RSL got the upset, but I was like, it's Seattle at home. They're so good at home. Jordan Morris is back. They rested João Paulo, Ladero, Rui Diaz. They didn't play that last game, and and those other top guys, and they've had a couple weeks to rest. I have Seattle advancing over RSL.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have the upset of Vancouver over SKC. So we have a Cascadia matchup in that second round of that bottom one of the conference semis.
All right.
And then I have Portland over Minnesota.
All right. We're close. I've got Portland over Minnesota as well. So Portland will take on Colorado in my bracket. And then I've got Sporting Kansas City beating Vancouver, taking on Seattle. So, and then moving from there, I've got Seattle and Portland meeting in the conference finals.
Wow. So do I. Do I. I think, and this is why I have it, and I don't know if you want to chime in as well, but I think Portland, the whole entire year, they've had a lot of injuries, and then Eric Williamson, doing his ACL in Seattle, which was a huge miss, a huge loss for him. And Blanco kind of wasn't healthy in the beginning. It took him a while to get back, but with all this rest and them kind of catching a little bit of a hot streak at the end and kind of pulling away from the pack in the Western Conference to get in the middle of the table to get a home game. I think they're kind of riding momentum a bit. Plus, with their older guys, they're giving them rest. So that's key. The thing that scares me with Portland, though, is the back line. Can they be consistent and can they, stop making errors? So there's, they don't give up, easy goals.
Yeah.
I think Steve Clark can come up with huge saves
Hmm.
because he always has, and he's always been a solid keeper that come up with big saves and big moments. But the question is, can the back line and can the Portland defense just play a good, clean game and not make mistakes? Because if they do, then I'm very nervous of then Colorado could possibly win that game just because of the hot streak they've been on. What
Yeah.
worries me with Colorado is that I don't think they have enough goal scorers in the front three
Sure.
like Portland do.
It's interesting that both you and I, before filming this, we talking about Robin Fraser winning Coach of the Year. He should win Coach of the Year, right? We
Yes.
both think so. But then we have him losing in his first game, right? We have him losing in the first game of the playoffs that the Colorado play. So it's interesting. But I think that the factors of what you just said, Steve Clark in goal, solid back line, Colorado not having kind of out and out strikers who can put the ball in the net consistently kind of is what did it for both of us, is my guess.
Yeah. And I think too, the other thing too is Will Yarbrough has not been a very good, consistent goalkeeper. He's made a lot of errors and saves that he should have made that, he gets 5-hold. I think there was one on the not top 10 for ESPN where it was a pass back and he completely missed it and it went in, it went in the goal. Like he has mental lapses. So he can get clean. He can earn, he can go games with getting clean sheets.
Yeah.
But which Will Yarbrough shows up for them? That's going to be the question. So, that both teams have certain parts of their lineup and their positions where they're weak at, and if things don't go the right way, it's going to be the cards are going to fall.
Yeah.
But both teams have different. Mark Anthony Kaye and Kellen Acosta in the midfield, like that's a solid midfield. Then you have Diego Chara, Christian Paredes, in the midfield for Portland. So it's there's a lot of differences that can make the game or break the game for both teams.
Absolutely. All right, that bottom matchup, it looks like like I said, I've got Seattle versus Sporting Kansas City, and I've got Seattle going through. You, I believe, had Vancouver versus Seattle. Is that correct?
Yes, and I have Seattle winning that one,
Okay.
and
So
Seattle going back to the
we both have
conference final.
Seattle going through. Okay.
Yes, and Portland going through. So we have another Cascadia matchup between Seattle and Portland in that conference final.
That should be, if that happens, that'll be a great conference final.
Yes.
And who do you have winning that conference final, my friend?
So I have Seattle winning. I think when you're playing Seattle at home, again, like I've said, it's very difficult to win. And the depth Seattle has with the timing of the guys that score goals and the guys they can bring off the bench to score goals. You have Stefan Fry, who's one of the top goalkeepers in the MLS. Not that Steve Clark isn't, but I mean, if I had to choose between the two, I'd take Fry over, in my opinion, Steve Clark. For ranking him, I think he's above Steve Clark in rankings. So, yeah, I mean, I just think Seattle's too much. They've been a hot streak the whole year. Even though Portland did win in Seattle earlier in the season, I think it's something. It's very difficult. Come playoff time, Seattle is just a team that's gung ho, getting MLS Cup and competing for the championship. So like they have in the past 4 or 5 years. I mean, it's been absurd how many times they've gotten MLS Cup. So for me, I have Seattle and New England in that MLS Cup final.
You've got Seattle, New England. I've got Seattle, Philadelphia. Who comes out the winner for you, my friend?
New England.
New England. All right. Yeah, I've got Seattle coming out 3-1 winners over Philadelphia. So, I mean, either way, this is going to be whoever wins, whatever is going to happen. It's going to be a fun MLS playoffs, man. There's a lot on the line here. And just if everybody's listening, again, we've got a We Are Soccer MLS bracket challenge. We'll put out the link as well in the video in the description of the video for people to fill out. It's free. Join, have some fun. This is going to be fun, man. This is going to be some good playoffs. I think we're going to have to jump in. We'll keep doing our MLS roundup here, and maybe after a couple of games, we'll do some quick videos and talk about what happened.
Yes, of course. Always. We should.
The playoffs kick off, I believe, in 2-3 days here. So That first game is going to be that
I
on
think
the
tomorrow
East.
night there's a game.
Is it tomorrow? I thought it was the. Let's check our little thing here. On the 20th, we've got Philadelphia Red Bulls.
Yep.
And then on the 20th as well, later in the day, we've got SKC Vancouver. So I believe those are the 2 games on the 20th that happened.
Okay.
Lots of fun. All right, man. Well, we'll see who wins. It's going to be a nice little battle between you and I to see who comes out with the most wins. We'll see who gets the most points. I'm going to guess it'll be you, but
What about Nate?
Nate. Nah, I think he picked Stuttgart to win somehow. He got them as a write-in.
Yeah. I think he just chose whatever color he likes, and he's like, I like this color team, so there you go. Or like the mascot, he probably picked by the mascot. Oh, a Red Bull.
Oh, Red Bull.
For Union.
I think that sometimes they win. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Nate. He's going to watch this and he's going to come screaming at us, but whatever. Fun. All right, Brooks. Thanks, man. Appreciate the time as usual. Appreciate your information you provide and the enthusiasm, buddy. Very much appreciate it. And we'll be back next week with another MLS roundup from We Are Soccer.
You're welcome. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. Take care.
Take care.